In order to shine, be yourself, be comfortable in the body you're in. And I tell kids a good technique to have is being able to improv. They want to make sure that you're the right fit, whether it's on or off, because they spend a lot of time with each other. So just don't be obnoxious. I guess that's what I would say would be a red flag. Don't think that not making it your freshman year is it. You can always try out again the following year.
Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Steps, produced by Apollo Performance and Turning Point Dance Creations. We are back with Treshawn Brown. Last week, we talked about how parents can support their dancers. This week, we're looking at things from the other side, the coach's perspective. What makes the dancer stand out in the recruiting process? What turns coaches off? Treshawn, you've seen this from both the parent and the coach's perspective. So let's pull back the curtain a little bit and talk about the coaches.
Let's get started with the big one, y'all. What are the top traits that college coaches consistently tell you they're looking for in a dancer?
So technique is really big. Yes, they want someone that can be bubbly and have the performance skill, but technique is a big thing. So make sure that you're getting that at your studio.
So question, because I know you probably have more, but like the technique side of things, sometimes, and again, for everybody out there, we're talking dance team, collegiate dance team auditions. That is the perspective we're coming at with this series this month. But sometimes you see dance teams and you're like, I don't know why I had to do all that at tryouts because they don't do all that, and the performance or generally they're not like doing all that mess all the time. But technique seems to be like so focused on at the tryout and ahead of the tryout. So why is that? And even if it doesn't resonate to their performance pieces that they're doing.
Most schools, especially those that recruit, compete via NDA and UDA. So even though that is a small portion of their program and their day to day is cheering on the crowds for football, basketball, games like that, they are really looking for someone that can hit that mat when it's time for them to compete. So having the technique, not having to teach technique, because usually you're learning the routine in a day, maybe two. Right, you having a choreographer come in, teach you this routine quick, and you're practicing it over a few months to compete, at UDA or NDA. But technique is very important, and you don't see it as much, I guess, unless you're at the events. But they also do, like, for instance, sideline routines where they're doing the turns and the leaps and things of that nature. So it just depends on the school. That's why I said also, there's a school for everyone. So some people don't compete. Technique is, I don't want to say it's not important, but it's maybe less important at some schools who don't compete than there are those that do.
And that's something to consider too, because are there fees tied to those? Like, say you make a collegiate dance team, right? You're paying for college, you're paying for maybe room and board, you're doing all of that. Are you still paying competition fees and costume fees and all of that, or is that covered by the school?
Most schools try to have their program within athletics. Not that it's a sport, because dance is not considered a sport yet. But they try to have it under athletics, which means most of those costs are covered. They do fundraisers, so having these clinics are considered a fundraiser for the dance team. So that's why usually a dance team will do 3 to 4 a year, because the money they raise for things like that, or if they're selling merchandise during those clinics, are used for that. So usually the cost is minimal for kids that are on dance teams.
Now, if it's a club, though, because I found this on the Apollo side of things with people we partner with, we've partnered with big schools that are, dance teams are part of the athletic program, but then we have the clubs where the funds are really limited. And then I would assume that's what you're saying, is that the parents then have to, or the parents or the kid has to find out a way to kick in for those fees, right?
Yes, and that's when you do your research. That's when you start building out your spreadsheet, right? Make sure is it a club? Is it part of athletics? Even if it's part of athletics, what's covered? Because every school is different. There is no one way for every school.
That's great for parents to know that they have to ask that question, because I would not have thought of that until you said it. I realize, admittedly, I just veered us way off course. So I interrupted. You said coaches want to see technique. So is there anything else that you would say coaches really look for?
Yes, a versatile dancer, right? And the reason I say that is because you are cheering, right? So you need to have that peppiness, that palm cheer type attitude. But if you need to know jazz, you need to know hip hop, you need to know game, all of the above, because all schools do everything, right? They may compete in two, but they do everything. One sideline may be a jazz routine, another sideline may be a hip hop routine, right? But they may be a palm squad. So they're looking for a versatile dancer. I just wanted to say, maybe I wanted to make this one point. Jazz for collegiate could be jazz or contemporary. So jazz is not just jazz. It contemporary and everything falls in that category.
That is really great to know. So, when it comes to clinics and auditions, those obviously feel like high stakes moments because this is like in their mind, do or die. They're watching me. Coaches are evaluating. You never know what they're actually looking at in the moment, right? How can dancers best prepare themselves to shine, not just with the skills, like you mentioned, attitude and presence counts for a lot. And then, following that, what are some mistakes or red flags that can hurt their chances?
Yes. So, one, in order to shine, be yourself, be comfortable in the body you're in. And I tell kids a good technique to have is being able to improv, right? Almost every clinic my daughter has been to, they teach them a combo, but there's always an improv after or before. And then most clinics do what's called a 4x4. So you have four counts of eight to just do whatever you want to impress. So practice that, right? You don't know what music's going to come on, but at least know what are the skills that you want to showcase when the time comes.
Lord, I hated improv. Gosh, I hated improv so much. It is the was the bane of my existence as a dancer. It's like my worst thing ever. So I totally feel that in my spirit. Like get really comfortable with improv.
I love improv. Maybe I'm just extra. I loved it.
And a lot of kids don't like it. So that's what I always pushed, the practicing of improv techniques.
Yeah, my kids always grown. Treshawn's work with my kids. They always grown. They grown about everything, but they they definitely grown about improv.
It's so much harder than people understand. It really is such a skill. So I feel that in my soul. Mistakes and red flags, anything jumping out at you?
So mistakes and red flags, I would say, is try not to be too extra. You don't want to be like too over and in your face because most teams are a family atmosphere, right? They want to make sure that you can fit in. They want to make sure that you're the right fit, whether it's on or off, because they spend a lot of time with each other. So just don't be obnoxious. I guess that's what I would say would be a red flag. And if you want to be seen, don't hide in the back.
Yeah, don't hide in the back. I always try to say that. And it seems like there's always this, I don't know. The thing that's coming to me is that there's a thin line between being obnoxious and being confident sometimes. Like they don't people don't know, and especially people who are dancers and or athletes in general who are pretending to be confident tend to move to obnoxious because it's not really who they are. So it's like yeah, you want to be yourself, but not obnoxious. Don't pretend. Don't pretend.
And I tell kids this, right? When you're learning choreography from whoever is at the clinic teaching it to you, you want to make sure you're doing the choreography and maybe putting a little bit of yourself into it, but don't change the choreography so much that they can't figure out what the step was supposed to be, right? So you want to be true with the steps that were given.
Well, especially for dance team, that uniformity and synchronicity is so important, that precision. So they want to know that you're capable of that, right? Like somebody that goes off script and veers way right is probably not a good fit for a team atmosphere.
So I hear this all the time, Trishawn. How did this the fit? It's about the fit. You should go to college to dance, not dance to go to college. I think that's the way it is. So you should pick your college based on where you want to go to school, not necessarily where you want to dance per se. So how do you know if a program is truly a good fit for the dancer and not just a recognizable name? Like, oh my God, it's Ohio State. I have to go there. It might not be a good fit for you.
I think it depends on the dancer. And the reason I say that is because our path is picking the school based on the team she gets. And the reason for that, she's very smart. We don't have any issues with getting into any school. And the major she's going for, every large school has it. So for us, it really was more about making sure we find the teams that she liked the most and knew the school. If all else fails, that would work, right? So it really depends on the dancer. Now there are some people I train that have want to be a meteorologist. Well, every school does not have a meteorology program, right? So they have to pick the school first that fits them, and then see what dance teams they're interested in trying out for. So it really depends on the student.
How many schools would you say is a good number to visit, attend, try out, the whole, like, to include in that whole process? Because I know I hear you saying in one of the previous episodes, you had said, this is the first weekend I've been home in months, right? Like we're going all the time, and she had to give up competition, or chose to give up competition to pursue the recruiting process and get to her school of choice. But like, how many schools is that realistically?
So it's hard to put a number on it because every family situation is different. But I will tell you this. So my daughter's number one school, she hopes she gets that letter come February that she has made the team. But they have only 4 spots. So, so as much as she wants to be on that team, as much as she thinks she has done everything she can do, there's only 4 spots and about 25 people they consider a top recruit right now. That's 25 they consider a top recruit, but there can be others that come, into a clinic. So the more you cast your net, the better chances you get. But I also get that going all these places is costly. What helped us with some of the costs is we went to these combines, and from the combines, we got scholarships to come to the clinics for free. So that was less than the cost. You still had to pay for travel, but at least we didn't have to pay for travel plus the price of the clinic and things like that. So it really depends on the family, but just know most teams have limited spots.
But I would assume, based on what you're saying, that it's not good to put all of your eggs in 1 or 2 baskets. You want to.
Correct. Yes, do not put all your eggs in one basket. I've heard horror stories where people have placed their eggs in all in one basket. They thought that was the team that was going to pick them, and then it didn't happen. And then now they don't even have a backup plan.
On a personal note, you've watched your daughter grow through all of this. How has the recruiting journey shaped her, not just as a dancer, but as a person?
I think it has made her have to grow up quicker. She is a younger senior. Just having to stand before adults and talk to them, try to strike a conversation, an intelligent conversation, having to be able to explain who she is and the type of dancer she is to a coach. That makes any kid, I feel, grow up very quickly. Most of the time, these clinics don't even let the parents watch. So they're going in there, and you just got to hope they are doing their best. So for her, it's also has made her grow as a dancer, just because she has to like self reflect on, wait, how do I feel like I did? Figure out what she needs to correct versus mom in the background saying, no, point your foot. So she has to figure things like that. So I think it grows a dancer very quickly to go through this process.
Do you feel like you've seen her mature through this process because of the responsibility that's being required of her?
Yes, a lot.
And you're going through it together. So it's like, even though we're anticipating the separation of like they're going to go off and start their own life, it kind of I would think, I don't know, but I would think and hope that it makes that transition process a little easier for mom too.
It's been a long journey, but it's been a fun journey, right? Getting to go to different cities, staying the weekend with each other. So it's been great.
Finally, Treshawn, how can families keep perspective after the recruiting season ends, especially if the outcome is not what you wanted or expected?
So again, college is for education. So even if you don't make the team, go to the school, figure out how you can fit in. There are clubs that are student led that you can still dance in, and it doesn't mean you can't try out the next year, right? There are teams that will take a sophomore if they've seen growth. So don't think that not making it your freshman year is it. You can always try out again the following year or get into
That's
other
great.
things to keep your dancing going.
That's great, and it's realistic because it probably does happen quite often. It's not just you, if you're sitting at home thinking, "Why me?" This, "Why my kid?" Like, it's you heard. I mean, there's 4 spots on a team. What are you going to do? And there's thousands and thousands of kids that need to be placed and or want to be placed. So it's a ratio game too. It is what it is. So, if they want it bad enough, they can spend that next year training really, really, really hard and working, getting all that feedback that they got from the clinics and the combines and the tryouts and putting it to work, right? Wonderful. Well, this has been a fantastic series. I think this is going to be up there with one of the most helpful episodes we've ever had, just because I know how confusing this process can be for people. Before we close out, I want to remind you all that we're big on education and resources. Obviously, that's the impetus of our whole show. So when you know better, you do better. We have our STEPS initiative that is the catalyst for this show. And we encourage you to visit our website to find out more about the STEPS initiative and take our free STEPS initiative course. We're going to pop that link in the notes section after this conversation. Make sure you click and share that course. It is free. It's going to cover everything from gender inequity, racism, sex abuse prevention, nutrition, psychology, and dance medicine and science. It's very robust. And you can go at your own pace. So it's not going to suck up all your time. Treshawn, for parents who are just beginning this process and maybe feeling overwhelmed at all of the information you shared, what's one piece of advice you would give them right now to get started?
I would just say go out there now, start building your spreadsheet and researching different schools that you think your child may be interested in.
And spreadsheet it all. Get it all in there. Spreadsheets. We have learned that from Treshawn. Spreadsheets are going to be your friend through this experience. So don't learn spreadsheets if you don't know spreadsheets. And to get a hold of Treshawn, she is again a recruiting trainer. She's a dance educator. She can answer so many additional questions that you have, and she's really accessible. You can reach her at TLC Dance Experience on Instagram and Facebook. Treshawn, thank you so much for everything. It's been amazing.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Been a great conversation. So happy to have you on. I feel like you've given us a very honest and inside look at how this college recruiting game is from the educator coach perspective as well as the parent perspective. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Next week, we are wrapping up this whole series. Bree and I are going to tell everybody what it is that we learned, hear from you in the comments. We'll break down the key takeaways, the big aha moments, what we learned from Treshawn, and all the incredible insights she gave us. So join us and let us know what you think. We want you to be part of this conversation as well. What were your biggest takeaways from this series? Until then, we hope you continue your